Peter, and thanks so much from all of us for doing this. This is we in this moment with the challenges we all face around the world. It's really, we can't take anything for granted, and it's so wonderful to make music in this time and just to keep some kind of normalcy going with what we're doing. So I'm really very happy to be doing this and getting away from the kitchen. I've been doing a lot of cooking lately over the last months, and looking forward to this varied repertoire. It's always interesting with the festival, and so I think we're going to start with some Bach, right? You're going to play the Prelude of the third suite. Okay. Thank you. I wish there was some applause, but you can't hear it over Zoom. Good. Well done. Um, so Um, Before we get started, I guess I'd like to know where you are and where you come from, and yeah, just a little background. Where are you right now?
So right now I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, beautiful. I love Portland. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice place to be too. Okay.
Yeah, so
And
I moved back here from New York City. So it's been about a year right now.
okay, are you at school in New York or what?
Yeah, so I graduated last spring from Juilliard, and then I'm here with my family right now teaching.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I mean, beautifully played. You have a clear sense of phrase structure um, and I guess my first question to you is what you're doing kind of an interesting mix of separate bows and slurred articulations. Where does it come from? Are they your own? What's the source? Where do you go?
So most of them are from my previous teacher,
Okay.
but some of them are from just the music itself.
And which edition do you use?
Baron Rider.
You're using the Baron. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's so many. Every cellist has their own interpretation of these articulations. Have you spent any time looking at the manuscript of Anna Magdalena, the one that has survived for these pieces?
Not this one.
No?
Not this one.
Well, I encourage you to do that. I encourage everyone actually to do that. Unfortunately, we don't have any copy in Bach's own hand. That would be amazing, actually, if we could have that. But the next best thing is his second wife, Maria Barbara. She really was an incredible copyist for him, and even her handwriting is very close to Johann Sebastian Bach's handwriting. So, although there are mistakes for sure in it, and she might have been rushed, you get some really interesting ideas, I think, of articulation. So I want to talk about that a little bit. And I want to talk about, because we play Bach not only in concert, of course, but it's often required at auditions. It's a staple for us, right? I mean, we're all and you go play in a competition, and there are so many approaches. So who do many people are wondering, like, how should I play it? Should I play it in a performance practice Baroque style? What does that mean? And which kind of Baroque style should it be? Am I allowed to vibrate? Am I allowed to, put more than four notes on a bow and smooth everything out? And am I allowed to play sostenuto, legato? Should I stay absolutely metronomically in tempo? There are all 16 notes here. So, I mean, these are all, questions that we ask when we go and play this. And so I would like to know from you, what is your priority with this music? Because I know that I have some priorities.
Mm-hmm.
When I play Bach, what are the top three things that you're trying to bring out in this movement? What are they?
So in general or like specific?
Specific. It can be very specific, or in general. It can be. You can tell me that I love these three notes the most in this entire prelude, and I couldn't live without them. Just three priorities, three things that stand out for you in this prelude.
Well, one thing that jumps out at me that I want to dig in more is the measure 45, the highlight section. This part, all those harmonies that I'm struggling with, and that I think is a priority for me.
It's an incredible. Oh my gosh, that's such a great moment. It's one of the great pedal points in music.
Yeah.
So definitely, okay.
So that, and then in general, with Bach in general, but just the rhythm of the piece. I'm still struggling to find a good tempo for it. I think it should be faster than what I played. So,
Why do you think it should be faster? That's interesting. And tempo is a fascinating discussion in
mhm,
this music because we have in this period very, very little indication.
mhm,
I mean, here we don't even have, he doesn't write allegro. He doesn't write
right.
andante,
Mhm,
he doesn't write anything. We have no idea, except there's another manuscript actually for this one movement. There was a student of his, Joseph Kellner, who actually wrote at the beginning of this prelude presto. And so he was making a copy, and it's just interesting. It's an interesting note that he said presto and not allegro for this movement. So, I mean, the only other place where there's a tempo marking is in the Sixth Suite. It says molto adagio for the allemande of the
mhm,
Sixth Suite. So anyway, tempo.
yeah.
Yeah. So how would you how do you determine tempo here? Because that was one
Um,
of my questions for you actually.
so I think just one hint right off the start is the scale that falls down. It just feels a little bit more urgent rather than beautiful and resonant to me. So it should have some sort of virtuosic sense, and the
That's
tempo
really
should,
interesting. I love that.
yeah.
Yes, and could we go further and say that the physics of that descent
Hmm.
sort of in a way there is a sort of natural order to the way it descends and the way it's leading to the second bar, to the low C. So I don't know about the resonance part because that low C is probably the most resonant note on the cello. It's got all the overtones, right? So it's
Right.
really a celebration of that the low C, but it's really headed for that second bar. Um, so that's definitely I agree with you, and for me it's kind of Newtonian. It's like the apple falling from the tree, the gravity. It's like we start at a point and once the object starts to fall, momentum takes over, and that's it. We descend to the bottom, and that's the
Mhm.
low C. So I totally agree with you. That's also great. And what else can we use to determine tempo?
Um, well, this point, I think that's it's sort of a wheel gesture. So if we play it too slowly, I think you kind of lose momentum.
Okay, well that's an
But
extreme example because it's a G pedal um, that lasts for a really long time.
mhm,
And so if we're trying to create a bridge from the beginning of that G pedal all the way to when it finally resolves and moves on, we'd have to go unbelievably fast to get through that, right? I mean, because it's all stuck on G. But I think if we use that idea, and I think what you're getting to is the idea that harmonic rhythm,
mhm,
that when the bass note moves
mhm,
and the frequency of that motion, that's what gives us. I mean, we can use that to a large degree to determine tempo. Of course, there's a prelude in dance movements. There's the dance aspect and choreography, and what would be more natural in terms of movement and direction. But here in the prelude, I think we have to look at the motion and frequency of the bass notes and where do they fall in the bar, and maybe we can just go through that a little bit,
mhm,
and that might inform the tempo. And that kind of leads to one of my priorities, if I may, with this music, which is that there's always a hierarchy in Bach of what you want to bring out and what you want to put in the background. And this applies to counterpoint and voice leading, but it also applies to affect, to emotion, because with everything that Bach is doing, with this style of music, you should be getting the listener to feel an emotion, whatever it is, whatever in this case, it's a sunnier feeling, right? I mean, compared to the Fifth Suite in C minor, which is full of pathos, this is lighter, more playful, more open and exuberant. In order for somebody to feel something, they have to, you have to get the idea across to them. In order to get the idea across to them, there has to be a visualization of that idea. And so what I want you to start thinking about, and it's hard to do on Zoom because it's just the sound filter is tough, but what notes are you really bringing out to the fore to create, and what are you putting in background to create a real picture, a real sense of perspective, so that we feel ultimately the affect that you want us to feel. So I know this is kind of, that was a huge generalization. I'm sorry. And now I want another 30 minutes with you so we can actually play. But can we just start with the first phrase after the opening? Just walk me through the bass notes of that opening phrase. Yeah. 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 It's like Zarathustra. Okay, so what do you notice? First of all, where are the bass notes in the bar? Of course, the first one is on the downbeat. And then where is the next one?
Second beat.
Right. And the next one?
Also second beat.
Right. And second beat all the way through. Kind of strange. Okay. It's not on the downbeat.
Right.
So, and right there, in that the way that those bass notes unfold, we have the tonic dominant relationship, the foundation of Western art music, right? This tension, build up and release. And you pointed, one of your priorities for the piece is that G pedal. Which just goes on forever. It's so glorious. But he's already foreshadowing that dominant feeling in that first phrase with these alternating. So there's no question that those bass notes, we want them to ring, we want them to last as long as possible, and they are our foundation in that opening phrase.
Okay.
On a smaller scale, we have already this tonic dominant, in the first bar, because we go from tonic to dominant. So it goes by very fast, but it's in there. So that tonic dominant juxtaposition, he presents it to us with a hypothesis right there in the first bar. And then he starts to let it unfold in a more gradual way. The harmonies are moving how often now? So it's second beat of each bar, but it's just one bar at a time, right? Where the harmonies move. So that already is an indication to you of how fast. If you're too slow and it's all about every single 16th note, then maybe the tempo is too slow.
Okay.
You want to try?
Sure.
Yes. All right. Very clear. Can I propose to you that we, I think Peter and some others have posted now the manuscript actually, so it's kind of fun for those of you who can follow along with the manuscript. I think it'll be helpful. But can I propose that we get rid of pretty much all the four slurs that you're doing? And I think it's more common in this style to do 3+1, 1+3, twos. And I think the manuscript will give you some ideas, and it's really difficult to kind of interpret because it kind of looks like it's all over the place with what she does. But if you look closely, you start to get some ideas. And what I want to propose is that the bass notes have their own integrity and independence. And so that this note, it deserves its own bow. So, can you actually do this? Just starting with the bow on the string, you know, and the hair less all the way to the tip, and we just get it to ring as much as possible. And that's not an easy thing on Zoom, but try it. Yeah, and you know, you want that. I can tell you want that resonance, but you're so used to getting that with the vibrato. Can you do it with a bow? Just for the purity of these notes, that they can resonate and ring without any vibrato, actually. Fantastic. So now I don't really care what bowing you use, but give those bass notes their integrity like that. So, and anything else goes. But if you don't mind, just sort of improvise a bowing for us. All right. Better. You seem not convinced yet. It took you by surprise, right? You'd like some up bows that you didn't expect, or yeah.
Yeah, unexpected a little bit.
Well done. It's not easy to do, right? To change bowings in Bach right away. A couple of things. I really do wish we had an hour now. One is open strings are good in Bach. So in the opening bar, I would not cover it up. I think you want everything ringing as much as possible. Secondly, it's interesting. There is no slur in the manuscript there. So I know you want to come on a down bow on the G, but have you ever thought about starting up bow? Which then differentiates the first C with the second bar C. So that there is a sense of something being kind of thrown out of nowhere with the up bow. And this, I mean, it comes down to, I don't know how much performance practice you've had in terms, have you used a Baroque bow? I'm using kind of a transitional bow right now. It's not Baroque, it's like kind of a Haydn bow, I guess. But I like it because it's very light, and it lets me, you know, like a sports car. I can let it go. But what do you know about down bow and up bow? Why we use those markings? Have you studied that?
For the Baroque bow, or like in general?
Well, actually, it originated in Baroque, but it is in general, actually. I mean, yeah, the origin of why we use the down bow and up bow markings. Do you know about that?
No.
It's kind of interesting, and it might actually affect how you think about articulation. Down bow is an N from the Latin nobile. It's the noble stroke. It's a good stroke.
Okay.
The up bow is a V and it is the viol stroke. It's the weak stroke. So down bows are good, up bows are bad. I mean, in general. I mean, it's, you know, of course, it shifts. But when you want to bring something out, most often you would put it on a down bow. And I think that's why you felt uncomfortable when you got to the up bow, because we didn't organize the bowing yet, but the articulation. But that's why all of these feel a lot better there than that feels unnatural. So basically it's going with the sort of natural property of the bow, where down bows are stronger and up bows are weaker. So now that you know that, you might want weaker, stronger, stronger, strong.
I see, okay.
Yeah. What if you went from the first beat to the second beat without it's very expressive what you're doing. You're doing something expressive in that first beat, and it attracts attention. And for me, the simplicity of da 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 dum, the eighth 216 notes, you know, it just has to go. And he could have, if he was a lesser composer, he could have written it. He could have gone to the subdominant, but he doesn't, and that's why the eighth note. So the G is really the most important note, not so much the B. B is just passing. Okay, great. Yeah, much better. Let's look at the next phrase for a second. And just to answer Peter's question, yeah, if we could take 40 minutes, that would be great, because we're just getting started. So second phrase, walk me through the bass note first. What's happening with the bass note?
So it's always on the downbeat, so
Exactly. What do you, how often does the bass note change?
every other measure.
Okay, so 2 bars.
Yeah.
So again, even if we took a tempo that was okay for the first phrase, it has to be quick enough that it'll work also for these 2-bar bridges, you know, arcs, where the bass note is moving. So that's even faster tempo. So that this is really, the tempo has to work for 2 bars at a time in terms of impulse. So this impulse has to last 2 bars. I'm exaggerating, yeah, but that's what we in our minds need to understand that progression. Now, what exactly is happening? How would you describe what's happening with the bass line?
Descending towards the dominant key.
Yeah, right, exactly. So now it's another kind of relationship of the tonic dominant. He's starting at the tonic, ending up at the dominant with the passing tones. He's letting unfold, filling in the interval of that fourth back to the dominant. Okay. What happens with the rest of it? What if this is a painting and we're going to create a sense of perspective, and we're going to put something at the, you know, that really pops out of the painting, even though it's 2 dimensions, that there's a 3D quality to it. And all the trees and everything else are in the background, and the hills and the whatever it is. What is up front in this phrase?
I think the contour here, and then these are more towards the background.
Okay,
Or the other way
let
around.
let me propose something a little different. How about I'm basically looking for notes that I can't live without. This I can live without. The viola part, basically. We can live without the viola. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I love violas, if anybody's listening out there. So yeah, so we've got lower voice, upper voice. So it's a little dance here with, and all this stuff is all the background. You know, do you like art?
I don't know very much, but yes, I do.
Have you ever seen some sort of Italian Renaissance art?
Yes.
Yes. Botticelli, do you know this painter?
Charlie, I'm not sure. I have to see it.
He has the most unbelievable painting, Primavera. And it's got 9 characters in it. It's a very important painting. It's kind of the birth of humanism, and it's kind of extraordinary. Venus is featured in the middle. But what is so amazing is that he has hundreds of species of flora depicted in the painting. He wasn't a scientist, but he very carefully included all kinds of different flowers and plants and trees in this. If he had done that and put it to the fore, we would be so confused because we wouldn't pay attention to the narrative of the painting, to the characters. So it only once you really start to look at the painting for hours do you realize, oh my God, there's all this other stuff to it. That you can notice, but it's all in the background. And in the fore are these characters and this story that's being told in the painting. So I would like to hear the relationship of the upper voice. And articulation-wise, don't feel restricted. The bow doesn't have to remain in a string. Not all of the notes have to have the same length in terms of the kind of articulation, or even the kind of articulation, whether it has an attack or no attack, or bow speed. Use your imagination. You can do really, what you feel is right for this. So the bass is a different kind of articulation from the upper voice. Okay, good experiment. You're not convinced by it. I'm not so convinced by everything you just did, but it's good to experiment. So, bravo. Can I suggest again that even though it's different, the upper voice from the bass, that you give it its integrity, so it's 1 + 3. But if you use a lot of bow on the bass, then you end up in a different part of the bow for the high E, which will naturally give you a different character for that E. So it's, and then we'll talk about the third beat kind of upbeat into the next bar. But can I just hear just 1 plus 3, 1 plus 3? Just that. Yeah, and I would use, that's good, and that can inform your fingering also. So instead of shifting in the slur, you can use the bow change to actually shift, and then it'll clean right up. And I would, as much as possible, I know it feels strange to do the string crossings, but I would avoid shifting as much as possible. So open strings are good, and it'll just be much cleaner, and I think you'll be able to more easily bring things out.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's talk. Yeah, I'm more convinced by the first 2 beats. Now let's just talk for a second, and then I guess we have to go at some point. But so what I want, you have 2 voices here. You have the moving voice, and you have the repeated notes on the 2nd and 4/16 note. So the up bows, if I put this under a microscope and slow it down, the up bows are shorter than the down bows. Or have a little bit more articulation, I guess. And there's a release on the up bow. Can I just hear just that? Yeah. Could you sort of just loosen your grip a little bit and sort of enjoy the down bows? Yeah. So can I just see you without the bow for a second? Can you? Yeah. So a little bit more of that brush. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, they go by pretty fast, so we can't use too much bow. So I'm trying, if I do this slowly, I am thinking very, very much about bow distribution. Now I'm back. So there's a kind of a circular feeling of, I'm starting at the frog, and over the 2 bars, I make my way back to the frog. Yeah. No, but what's interesting is that by whatever you're doing now in the bow, to me, seems like you're enjoying the bass notes more. When you locked here, it was a little bit standoffish with the bass notes, and when you brought in a little bit of flexibility there, and suddenly your shoulder came down a little bit, and it's just a happier feeling, on those down bows. And I think that's really, really important with this music, with Bach, that there's this kind of grounded, just enjoyment of and celebration, especially this movement, with the low C and the G pedal. That we really enjoy it. And so the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, because I think we should probably move on, is in that big pedal, I want you to think about a 3+1 bowing. So really what we want to hear contrapuntally is suspension. It's that inner voice and then the upper voice circling back. So so I'm not going to make you do it right now because it's just a whole project to, you know, you'll see, you know, you'll have to figure out the challenge without putting an accent on the up bows. So to really release, but you'll really have to enjoy those bass notes. It's so glorious, that passage with those suspensions. We do it all by ourselves with no help from a piano or orchestra or anything. Right. So, but anyway, I encourage you to kind of maybe start thinking about some of these things that I'm throwing out, and really, with this music, develop your own priorities. You know, that there's so many ways of articulating, but I find it very helpful and confidence building to go back to the Anna Magdalena and really just check out these articulations. So thank you for playing. Wonderful to hear you, and hello to all my friends in Portland, Oregon. I miss Portland, Oregon. It's so beautiful and such great food and coffee houses and great. I hope you still are. They open? I don't know now in
I don't think
quarantine
they're
times.
Open, but hopefully soon.
It's too bad. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, take care.
Okay, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thanks. All right. So you're playing Saariaho.
Yes.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'll be playing the first 6 movements.
Great. And what can you just tell us before you start? Where are you from? Where are you right now?
I'm a cellist. I'm from Mexico, but I'm currently in New York. I just finished my studies here.
Oh, at which school?
In SUNY Purchase with Julia Lee.
Great. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So I have to tell you, full disclosure, I have not actually played this piece. I've taught it a few times, but yeah, let's. I'm looking forward. can I stop you and we work on these three, and then if we have time, we go on. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you. Thanks for playing this. Actually, just right at the end, I just want to point out one thing. I think there's a wrong note in bar 13. I think it's a C sharp.
C sharp?
Yeah, because it's earlier in the bar. There's a C sharp.
Oh, it's
You see the second. Oh gosh.
in the second triplet. Well,
Just a moment.
That's Siri. Sorry, I said you see, and she thought I was talking to her. Okay, so bar 13, the second triplet.
mm-hmm.
It's just, there's a C sharp there.
Yeah, and
So it's the same C sharp later in the bar. It carries, I think.
okay. I'm
Right?
sorry. In the 1, 2, 3, 4. In the then you mean the interval before the last one, or in the last one?
So this that's a C sharp on the bass.
Oh, okay.
So that one is a C sharp too.
Because I had marked, I'll change it. I had marked as C natural.
Oh, sorry. Is it in the score?
That's what I have. I have here.
Oh, I don't have it. I have. Okay. It's interesting. Maybe it was corrected or something. I don't know. You know who we have to ask is Ansi Cartoon. You actually have a published C natural.
Yes, I bought the score sometime, and that's what I have written. But maybe I could later I could email Kaya or Ansi to ask.
Yeah. I would ask about that because I don't. In my edition, I don't have it. Strange. Okay.
Thank you.
I think it sounds better with C sharp personally, but I think it makes more sense. But we should find out. Curious. Okay. Let's go back to the first one. So I think you're very brave to do it on one bow. I guess. I mean, I would. Yeah, I might take two bows, but I think one bow is fine. I guess my question for you, well, in general, she's so concerned about timbre, and I think you're thinking a lot about the left hand and what is going on, but I don't feel that there's enough attention to where the bow is in relation to the bridge, and to really be committed to it, even though it goes against, our kind of lyrical instincts. We want to make it sound beautiful and pretty, which actually this is incredibly beautiful, but it's a different kind of beauty. And so I would when she, in the first two bars we go from normal to sulpant, and then back to normal, and then the next phrase begins sulpant. So I think we really want that sulpant. So instead of at the fingerboard. I mean, there it's actually, with the harmonics, it's not as big a deal, honestly, but where I really noticed it is actually in Papillions 2, where, where really it has to be a different, like it can't be a cello. It sounds too Bach-like. Play it. So let's try the first one again. And the other thing that I'm curious about, you can throw out all these ideas. These are just thoughts. But if you're going to do this on one bow, which is very nice, What about starting this, retaking so you can breathe and starting again down bow so that this, so the tremolo can be further out in the bow, not so here, but more closer to the tip and faster and more density. Doesn't she say something about the density of the tremolos? She wants this to really be a texture. So if you're too slow, then it sounds, it sounds like normal 16 notes or something rhythmic. It shouldn't sound rhythmic.
Okay.
It should be a timbre. Want to try?
Yes.
Very, very good. Bravo. I think much, much better the opening bars. Maybe the breath was too long. I don't know.
Oh.
But it's okay. I mean, anyway, I thought it was very beautiful. And a lot of attention, and you committed to the sulpant. Great. You might want to think about this glissando just using your first finger and not even going to second. So we get all the overtones, and then don't forget that it's going from sulpant to sultasto in bar 6. So stay sulpant. So kind of it comes into a little bit more focus, this this other kind of tremolo. Right when you arrive at the triple pianissimo, and then we have another phrase, right? So 2-bar phrase at the beginning, and then 4-bar phrase,
yeah,
and then another 2-bar phrase. So this is like a like a Bach chorale.
Oh yeah.
And there's fermatas at each phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like the butterfly chorale. So we have, I mean, very clearly these phrases, and I think you could create this sense of space in that way. So let's go to bar 7. So let's start at bar 7. So this is now sulpant again.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want me? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you for a second. Can this be one gesture instead of this? Can it be? I mean, that's one bowing option, is actually to do it on one bow, actually, and then take a change. Or if you want to start, you could do that also. I'm just curious, because these are all extended techniques, right? For the left hand. I find it very difficult, when you have a tremolo, you want both notes to come out. And if your first finger is down, it makes it a little bit cloudy.
Yes.
It doesn't let both ring. And I also, it's like the wings of a butterfly. although I don't know if this one. I think we go through the metamorphosis, so I'm not sure. Maybe this isn't the butterfly yet, but um, but uh, but I find it easier to sort of control it with thumb and two. I'm just curious if that's the case. It's just a suggestion. You want to try it? Just try, see if you like it. And don't forget the sul ponticello, so bow to the bridge.
Yeah, I
Good.
think it's easier.
It's easier? Okay, and it might be easier also to get to the other, because your thumb is already out, so then you're set for the next progression. Yeah, exactly. So one thing about playing sul pont, and it's interesting, she generally gives you these sul ponts at a mezzo piano level, and I liked when you performed it at the beginning. You kept this one quite quiet, and I think you're absolutely right. I think this never goes beyond mezzo piano, and it goes all the way to treble piano, to almost non-existent. So it sort of evaporates. But when you play sul pont, there has to be a certain amount of pressure, and also, just like in Bach, when we bring out a voice, we have to decide what we want to bring out. So in this case, I kind of want to hear that fluttery. I don't want to hear too much the D string. I want to hear more of the G string. And then the A string. So in this sense, it is like Bach in terms of voicing.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, okay. Yeah, it's new fingering. But good. I want to go on to one of the other ones. Just one thing. I'm thinking that maybe if we skip to right before bar 13, so the leggero. Can you? It's a little bit scary. I don't know. Have you ever like gone to a lake where there's some kind of cliff where you have to dive 20 feet into the lake? You've done it?
Well, no, I haven't like that.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I have been there and considered.
I have been on one of these trips, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't jump off the cliff. My daughter did. She was only like 6 or 7 years old, and she jumped. So she's much more brave than I am. So, but I want you to be incredibly brave. I want you to jump off here. Instead of kind of fishing for it, you're sort of, you're making it easy. How about what's beautiful about harmonics is they last beyond, right? Just try this for a second. Just see how long it lasts if you keep bowing it. Yeah, so it lasts at least a second or two before the open string kicks in. So you actually have some time. I'm not doing it well, sorry. Much better. Yeah. So you have more time than you think to get up there, basically, if you keep bowing. And then finally, the last bar is it's tough because how do you keep the top voice and then introduce the low C sharp? On my cello, I have to, so I can do that, but really I have to change. Sorry, so I have to bring down the D string up here, and I can finally get that double octave on G together. It has to be incredibly sul tasto, near my fingers. But I can't do it holding this C sharp. It just won't allow, I have to depress the D string in order to get the G and A string to work together. Anyway, that's one trick that you might want to consider. You might want to consider. Sometimes I'm not doing it well, but if I could practice. So basically, to get to here from that, it evolves.
Yes.
Like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon.
Yes.
Yeah. So we don't have to spend time on it. It's just you might want to practice that trick, you know, to actually you might depress a different note when you finally want the exterior notes, because it's a really nice effect not to have to go back and forth. It's kind of nice to be able to get it at the end. Anyway.
Yes.
Papillon 2. Yeah, I felt that the sulpant is just, you need to get really to the bridge, and I feel like the tempo is too slow. So if you look at the metronome, and it has to do with the way these string crossings work. It's sort of, it can't be a studied sort of it's almost like you're controlling too much. You want fluidity here. And there's a fluidity in the right arm with the string crossings, but there's also, it's almost like if you have to think about it, it won't happen. It has to be a feeling. You have to practice it enough so that it just, the feeling takes over. But in the left hand also, if you're locked in a position, it won't work. So that I can't have my thumb down for this. You know, again, like a butterfly, so graceful. So, you know, the butterfly's not thinking about where should I put my wing? You know, how do I fly? How do I go from point A to point B? The butterfly just exists. It's so natural, right? It's
Yes.
Just the epitome of nature. and variety, right? I mean, just the patterns and the beauty of it and everything. So I think kind of moving in that direction with this, so freeing up the left hand. In fact, I have a question about a few pitches here too. Can you play for me slowly bar 16? Oh wow, okay, I see. So you're achieving the you're doing this with 3 and 2. Okay. Yeah, okay. But I don't understand how you do it.
I do actually third finger. I put it in the middle, but in an angle, so because the harmonics are not parallel.
All right, well that's good. Okay, that works. Nice. I hadn't thought of that. I was doing something crazy. So I like yours. I like yours. That's good.
Yeah, it's very tricky. This
What?
this
Yeah,
second is very it's complicated.
it is. It is. But no, I think you're on the right track with that. And I think just when the first time you played it, I guess I think this harmonic didn't come through. So it sounded like a different note. That's all. But now when you did it slowly, it was absolutely right. So yeah. So I think. Can you wave goodbye to us when you do this? And just again, it's about feeling. Yeah, exactly. It's a little locked, a little bit locked here in the wrist. Yeah, really. Yeah. Think flatter hair. So not too much of an angle. Yeah, and as wide or as much distance up and down as you can, so you're not locked. It's better, yeah. Can I hear it more in the middle for a second? Because it's harder, and here the frog gets harder also. Right. And I think even though it's from, it's down here that's flexible, this needs to not tighten up as well. So this is all kind of rubber. Yeah, it's a little bit too controlled. Again, like a butterfly wing that moves so fast that we can't even see the wings. That's better. That's better. And then this is kind of like a figure eight. And that's, in a way, that's your tempo. That motion. It's about motion rather than each 30-second note. Yeah, that sounds great. Ponticello and use more bow. Yes. Yes. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then in that whole part at bar 10, when she gets into these Bach-like figures, again, more bow and enjoy. Now we have some. It's not only timbre now; it's harmony and pitches, and yeah. So and that should sound like a normal cello compared to where you were before with the Ponticello. So really, the difference between the Ponticello and the normal. Great. And finally, I think it's dangerous to start up bow this one, the number 3, because it's like a sigh, right? This figure. It's actually. That figure. Kind of like that. From the Beethoven. But anyway, so yeah, this is difficult because she writes N, so it's normal sound. But of course, because the A string it's a shorter string length, the sort of ratio of where the perfect contact point for the B flat is much closer to the bridge. You can't play the B flat near the fingerboard, right? And yet the D, you don't want it to be ponicello. So you have to sort of compromise and find the right balance between the two. And this next one is nasty to get up to find that one. But so really important, I think, that we don't hear the D before the B flat also. So if anything, kind of favor the A string with the balance of your bow. I mean, just try the opening bar, and we might have to go soon, I think, unfortunately, because there's still, I think, Penderecki. Why don't you play it once with no D string, just for the A string. In time, though, 48 to the quarter is slower. Yeah, so I think you want a slower bow for the B flat, because otherwise you don't have enough for these. How comfortable can you be in the left hand? So shoulders down, and perhaps only one finger on the string. Yeah, only the third finger, and lower both upper arms. Yeah, there you go. And even slower bow. So if possible, that the A doesn't happen beyond the halfway point of the bow. Can I ask one thing? Before you even start, yeah, put your bow on the string, and now lower a little bit. So you put your weight into the cello. That's it. And now add the low D string to that. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And somehow you have to create magic and have a legato there. Bow has to continue. It has to be 3 bars under one slur, under one phrase, even if you take another bow. So this is again the kind of idea that the D string can actually help you to keep, you can keep playing the D string as you shift down with your left hand. I think we have to go because I'm being bad and I'm going over with everybody. Sorry, but
thank you very much.
Bravo, yeah, and hello to everyone in Mexico.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Matt. This is so great. Sounds great, Rocio.
Yes. Thanks for playing this piece. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece.
You're
It's
gonna
so
make me learn
difficult.
It's so difficult. It's just new. It's a new approach to the cello. So it has to. Yeah. You make me want to learn it now. Okay. So before you start playing, I know we're running late and everything, but I have to tell you my Penderecki story. First of all, where are you? Where are you right now?
I'm in New York.
Oh, okay. How are you doing? Is everything okay?
Yeah, we're okay, I think. We
Yeah.
just had a toilet paper emergency, but other than that, we're okay.
Oh my God, isn't that crazy? Yeah, we in Montreal we have people just hoard toilet paper. I have no idea. If it was me, I would hoard the meat, but it's toilet paper. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I have some students in New York, and I've been hearing about it, and that's tough. It's really tough. Yeah, tough to see, but hopefully everything will come back to normal and we'll open up. So hang in there. So Penderecki, you know that he passed away recently?
Yes.
Okay. And I never actually worked with him, but I met him in Krakow, where he lived in Poland. And in the late 1980s, I guess it was early 90s, when the Berlin Wall had just come down and people were going back to the east from the west. And it was a special concert at a synagogue that they were bringing back. It was desecrated during the war, and they refurbished it and brought it back. And my funny story is that he came to the concert, and we were staying at a hotel, and we were eating terribly, and they were bringing food that was really not fresh, and it was really difficult. And there weren't that many restaurants yet, again in Krakow, and we just weren't eating well. So after the performance, Penderecki wanted to take everybody out, and we went back to the hotel. And all of a sudden, because Maestro Penderecki was there, the chef and everybody at the hotel brought out the most beautiful platters of cold cuts and fresh vegetables. And I was looking in disbelief, like, where has this been all week? You know, and it was because of Maestro Penderecki. He was a god in Poland. So that's my Penderecki story. It has nothing to do with music. I'm sorry, but I look forward to hearing this piece. He was an incredible composer.
Yes. Should I just play?
Yes, please. Bravo. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions for you. And maybe sort of, how do I put it? Some ideas to sort of bring out the theater of this music and the drama of it. And some of it requires your commitment. You have to really, well, a couple of things. Sometimes I feel like as things get more intense or louder, that it gets faster. And then the reverse, when it gets calmer, it gets slower. And sometimes you can create more tension and more drama by actually keeping the pulse and not letting it get faster as it gets more, as you start digging in. It's almost painful. And that really takes a commitment. It means, okay, I'm gonna just dig in these places. For me, one place actually is at the end, where he writes forte. He doesn't give you much instruction. This is the sort of fourth line, the tempo one. You go back to so this is kind of sonata form, right? We go back to the original two-note motive, the half step. But now it's transposed and there's double stops. I don't know if I agree with you that you kind of gradually came down to the piano that's in the third to last line. And I wonder whether that piano is subito. I wonder if you have to keep the intensity and in various ways. I think it has to be painful. All these intervals of and even getting into that, by the way, I wouldn't telegraph it. So this is what kind of I mean by the theater of the piece. He writes a retard, but this, I have this violin piece, but the rest is where it has to hit us over the head, that we're back. And if you sort of stop, then you're telegraphing, okay, it's not a form, we're back now, and it's just, for me, it loses. Bach does this, in the Prelude of the Third Suite that we heard first today, where you have 16 notes, 16 notes, 16 notes, and then stop. Everything stops. The drama of that, and then suddenly he's descending chromatically in the bass. Rest. And finally, he resolves this major, and then he has a little final chorale progression. So this is not unlike that moment where you're going, and you've got this crazy, you're fortissimo and rest, rest. Yeah, it's painful to let it sink in. This kind of out of phase, almost microtonal kind of. Just half steps, but yeah. I would like you to keep playing through those phrases, and keep finding ways to keep the intensity or even grow the intensity. Tritone. You know what I mean? And then rest. And then... Yeah, and some of these rests are gasps, you know, that you want to create a longer line, so you play through them. They're not as long as the quarter rest. And then he starts this the voices on top of each other and people talking on top of each other, you know, and then finally these really ugly sevenths, sorry. Rest, rest, and then it's resigned, and then we're really back to the feeling of the opening, you know. But I think it's one big cry. I mean, this whole thing is shaped that way, where you know it just keeps building and building and building, and you need to create this tension and don't give it away, basically, and stay committed to just how long it takes to build that up. So can we just actually go backwards for a second? Can you start at the fortissimo with the crazy string crossings and
there.
Oh, actually, you know what? Right before there, sorry. I have a question about this. I'm wondering, instead of I kind of want you to just go for it and not it sounds too notey and not carefree enough. We want that, and can you? I'm just curious. Maybe this is not a violin thing, but try actually keeping your bow on the string and just lighten up on the up bow, on the That's better, yeah. Maybe it's not as possible. I don't know. Try to... So basically, accent this chromatic line up and let everything else go, and then you can actually. Well, here he doesn't. No, here you can't go faster. But before, when we had this figure, you could. But. Yeah. Is there any way to vibrate? So it's a line, and even these triple stops. I'm just curious. Is there any way to add a little bit of vibrato just so it rings in the fortissimo?
Yes, I just have to play better.
Here, yeah. Let's hear it without the string crossing, just the triple stop. How much vibrato can you do? Is it possible? Yeah. So it's the bottom note that now I'm hearing better, and I want to hear a line. I want to hear that. Yeah, great. Now let's bring back the string crossing, but in fact, if you lengthen just a touch, so give yourself that time to sing in the left hand, and now we're throwing in this crazy string crossing. So it's like, have you ever gone whitewater rafting?
No.
Never? Oh wow, you got to do it. It's really great. It's a little dangerous. You can capsize and end up in the water, and the current just.
I can't swim, so.
Oh, don't do it then. Okay, forget it. I didn't suggest it. But you've seen people do it, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but in a way, I just want this. I want you to take risks and you know, make it dangerous. So so you're throwing in the string crossings, but lengthen the top note so it's really still a line. Yeah. Now try it and don't give yourself time for the string crossings. The string crossings just it has to go. The only thing you can take time for is the only thing you can take time for is that voice, that the line that we want to hear. Yeah, and no time there either.
All right. Okay.
But there is the triplet and duplet. But you can't go. You're playing the duplet like a triplet, and then taking time. That's cheating.
Right.
I think you can spread out the duplet before, but then it has to go to the triple stop. There's no break. Be careful. It's always, like, from the very beginning, the theme is always, it's always the stress on the first one and then resolution. So it's never accented there. Is there, I'm sorry, I kind of missed it. Can you just do the last passage? Can you vibrate some of these too? Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong one. So the left hand intensity grows into that tempo one, and you gradually also I would use more bow also getting into tempo one, and then find a whole different intensity in the left hand, I think, for the double stops. Yeah, well, that's much better, much better. One more time, and I want to know that you are listening in the rests, so that you're processing and you are developing what you just did. So you're taking the building block of that minor second, and then you're making it a longer phrase. And so the rests have their own sense of musicality, and that, because right now I feel like it's just a rest. Rest. I don't feel like you're. I don't feel like you're responding in the rest, and that there's something developing there. Yeah. So is that second phrase, is it more or less than the first two notes of tempo one?
I feel like it's a little less. It's not as.
Oh,
intense.
you do? Okay, that's interesting. For me, it's even more. Because can you try it once? Where you it's a variation, so it's expansive, but there's even more intensity. The first one you kind of find yourself there. Second one is, you're really feeling it. You're using a vibrato that's very neutral, I guess is the word I would use. Is there any way, and even getting into it, and I just want some drama getting into it. And you're so cautious. Very organized. It's good, but I think just let go and take some risks. Yeah, and I think maybe try a faster vibrato. If we don't like it, we'll throw it out. But just try something a little bit more intense. Yeah. I think that's already better for me. Um, the approach to the tritone, you really need both notes. So something about it, either it's a fingering thing or just be committed in a bow. And then I wouldn't relax too much. I think it goes on. It goes on. I shouldn't demonstrate this. Sorry, but in other words, these eighth note rests are gasps, and it's really a longer line because you've given us a 2-note phrase, more expansive one, and now maybe start a little bit less so you even can grow. So now. And then keep growing. It keeps, oh my gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are like 5 of these little sub phrases that really, it's just one big rising line from there. Yeah, but don't rush. Only more intensity. Yeah, and you can anticipate the rest. After the rest, but it's just, it should feel like heavy lifting to grow this. But that was nice. The beginning of it. I feel like we need more time. Also, can we just skip for a second? I'm gonna. Sorry to leave this passage, but can you? I would like to hear. Oh boy, before the vivace. Actually, 2 things. All those down bows with the triple stops. Can you not put a rest between them? So struggle to get back. So much faster retake and longer quarters.
Okay.
So it's painful.
So on the very last line.
Yeah, the last line exactly. And I guess my question to you also is that this whole thing is lento. It's a cadenza, so there's some freedom, of course, but it's lento. And then poco a poco accelerando is not until the second page, second line.
Yeah.
And that I wish would really just go, just let loose. And then the vivace I felt was too slow, was too conservative.
Yeah, I just started this piece, so.
Oh, you're doing great, amazing. That's great. So yeah, so I would let that go. In terms of tempo, I would just try to push it. But otherwise, it was clean. It was good. Could you just try those triple stops? Let's see, like the last line of the first page, maybe. So how long can you hold those? Yeah, so more time more time in the string and less of a circle, less of this. So it's really very, very close to the string, the retake. Yeah, and can the left hand, can it continue to vibrate even when you do the retake?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's it. And that's a different tempo. That's the tempo you started with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you know, I'm gonna leave you with one last thought because I actually have to go prepare dinner. That's the big thing in quarantine. So have you experimented with the kind of release of articulation if you take your time between two notes? You can get a portamento. So if you remove your not second finger, whatever finger you're using, are you sorry? And you're doing it on, of course, this open string, right?
Yeah.
On the G string. So yeah, so if you remove that first finger, a little slower, you get something in between the two notes. Can you try it? Just the very beginning. Okay, and now vibrate the A flat also, so it's espressivo. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So it's a different relationship, you know. I think you can play around with that kind of variety of articulation to really the connection between the notes. And it gives it also another kind of espressivo feeling. But I would actually, for this whole first part before the vivace, I would set the metronome and actually just see what it feels like to actually do it. It'll take some commitment, and there may be room for rubato in there for sure, no question. But I started to feel like it's too easy. Almost you anticipate the vivace, and then the vivace doesn't have the impact that it should.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for playing.
That was really helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. I wish maybe we have to arrange that for cello too. It's a good piece.
You're gonna
Way better on the viola.
Always, everything sounds better on the viola. Yeah.
You're gonna start stealing their repertoire now, huh?
He wrote a couple of good pieces for solo cello too.
Yeah.
He's prolific.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Matt. You're so incredibly generous with your time and energy, and everybody was just really blown away, and really appreciate it. Yeah, and thanks to all of our performers, and thanks to everybody who joined us. Please tune in on Thursday. We have a great workshop with Lisa Bialava. Next week we have masterclass with Jennifer Coe, and lots of really great things coming up. Please help us support our work by making a donation of any amount, and your money will help to go to prepare the dinner that Matt's about to make. Really great to see everybody, and thanks, Matt. It's just really, really wonderful to have you back.
Pleasure. So great to see you, and bravo for doing this, all of you. It's really wonderful to be with you.
Okay, thanks.
Take
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.